From Niger to Mali to Burkina Faso, a political earthquake is shaking the foundations of Francophone West Africa. French flags burned in the streets. Military juntas cutting ties with Paris. And for the first time since the end of colonialism, African countries aren't just rejecting French rule, they're rejecting French presence completely. The ambassador has been expelled. The military has been kicked out, and economic ties have been severed. But hold up, what's really going on here? Is this the rebirth of African independence? Or are we just watching the beginning of a new kind of foreign control? Today on The Breakdown, we're unpacking Africa's dramatic breakup with France and asking, what comes next? Before we dive in, be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss another critical conversation like the one we're about to have. All right, so let's set the stage. What's really happening? In just the past few years, 3 major West African countries, Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger, have experienced military coups.
It's now official. Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso have formally severed ties with ECOWAS. This decision was made during the first summit of the heads of state of the Alliance of Sahel states in Niamey, Niger on July 6. The summit also marks the birth of a new confederation. On Saturday, the 3 presidents made it clear to an audience that the people of the Sahel have turned their backs on ECOWAS. To the officials and foreign ministers who finalized the adoption, the draft treaty, it is with great pleasure that I solemnly agree to the creation of the Confederation of the Alliance of Sahel States. The formal approval of the treaty creating the Confederation of the Alliance of Sahel States will fulfill our population's aspirations to establish a union of states sharing the same challenges and ambitions, in short, the same destiny. The leaders further expressed that it had become unacceptable for Niger's uranium to be exploited for 40 years while the country remained in darkness, following the July 26, 2023 coup in Niger against President Mohamed Bazoum and the subsequent sanctions, which they described as inhumane and barbaric, lasting 6 months. The 3 countries decided to withdraw from ECOWAS. They created a protection pact between the countries on September 16, 2023.
Now, coups in Africa aren't exactly new. But what's different this time is the messaging. These military leaders aren't just taking power, they're calling out France by name. In Niger, the French ambassador was kicked out like an unwanted guest. In Mali, French troops were told to pack their bags and leave. And Burkina Faso, they wasted no time doing the same. This isn't some isolated trend. Just recently, even Senegal, under newly elected Bassirou Diomaye Faye, has also asked the French to leave. What we're witnessing is a continental clapback, a growing anti-French wave across Francophone Africa. And it's loud. So why the hostility? Why is France suddenly persona non grata in half of West Africa? Let's be clear. This isn't just about colonialism, it's about what came after. Because while the French flag may have come down in the 60s, France never really left. Let's talk about the CFA franc, a colonial-era currency still used by 14 African countries. It's printed in France, controlled by the French treasury, and critics call it economic colonialism in a suit and tie. Then there's France's so-called security presence, Operation Barkhane. French troops are stationed across the Sahel, supposedly to help fight terrorism. But locals, many saw it as ineffective, arrogant, and often more interested in optics than outcomes. And let's not forget the politics, okay? France has long supported regimes that were convenient, even when they were unpopular or downright undemocratic. So when these military leaders took over, they didn't just see France as irrelevant, They saw France as part of the problem. And for millions of young Africans, France represents everything that's held them back. Now here's where things get interesting. As France is shown the door, new players are slipping in through the side entrance, so to speak. Let's start with Russia and its infamous Wagner Group. Now, in case you don't know, the Wagner Group is a Russian paramilitary organization, basically a private army that operates in conflict zones around the world. It's not officially part of the Russian military, but it's widely understood to be backed by the Russian government and used as a tool of foreign policy in places where the Kremlin wants influence without the diplomatic baggage. It's like Russia's version of plausible deniability. We're not invading. Our contractors are just here helping with security. Well, that Wagner Group is now active in Mali. And reports say they're cozying up to Burkina Faso and Niger too. They're offering security, weapons, advisors, all without the political lectures. You do whatever you want to do. We are just here to help you. And let's be honest, for regimes under pressure, that can be very attractive. Then there's China, already Africa's biggest trading partner. China is building roads, ports, hospitals with deep pockets and no colonial history, no guilt, no finger pointing, just infrastructure and influence. All of this is part of a bigger story, a pivot toward the global south. African countries are eyeing BRICS, questioning old Western alliances and saying, maybe we don't need Paris or Washington or Brussels. But here's the thing. Is this real sovereignty or just a new kind of scramble for Africa with different flags? Now look, all this revolutionary energy is inspiring because everyone, especially young people, want to see Africa rise. We all want to see the continent rise. But let's talk about the risks because they're real and they're heavy. First up, security. Right? Groups like Boko Haram, ISIS affiliates, and Al-Qaeda in the Sahel haven't disappeared. Without France, flawed as they were, who's going to fill the gap? Russia? Maybe, but it's unclear. Local militaries? Unproven. Then there's the economic fallout. France cuts aid and potentially restricts trade. The EU steps back. ECOWAS imposes sanctions. And suddenly, people in the street are paying the price. Food, jobs, inflation. And diplomatically, these countries are becoming increasingly isolated. They've quit regional alliances, alienated global donors. They're betting everything on a fragile new order that hasn't fully formed yet. Because, hey, revolution, it's messy. And what happens after the chants fade and the streets empty? Well, that's the hard part. Here's the part that gives a lot of us déjà vu. In the 1960s, leaders like Sékou Touré of Guinea and Thomas Sankara of Burkina Faso dared to say no to the West. Touré told France to leave, and they took everything with them: phones, light bulbs, even the toilet paper. Sankara renamed Upper Volta to Burkina Faso, the land of upright people. He banned luxury cars for ministers, pushed local production, and stood tall against imperialism. And what happened? Sankara was assassinated. Touré was isolated. Today's leaders, Traoré, Goata, Tiani, are echoing those same anti-imperialist lines. But will they suffer the same fate? Or can they rewrite the script? That's the million-dollar question. So my people, France may be on its way out, but the deeper story here is about power. Who controls it? Who benefits from it? And whether Africa is finally ready to own it, right? Because for decades, African countries have tried to shake up the chains of foreign control, colonial and otherwise. But in the process, some have fallen into new traps: neocolonialism, debt dependency, military manipulation. So the question isn't just, can Africa kick France out? It's, can Africa build something real in its place? A future that's sovereign, accountable, African-led. So what do you think? Is this the dawn of true independence, or just a remix of the same old song? Let me know in the comments. And if this breakdown got you thinking, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel, because here on The Breakdown, we have the conversations shaping Africa's present and its future. The conversations you won't find anywhere else. That's it for today. Thanks for staying with me. I'm Sandra Babu-Boateng. Until next time, take care. Hey you! Thanks so much for watching this episode. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, don't forget to subscribe and join the family. Also, visit face2faceafrica.com for your daily news and updates on what's going on within the global Black community so you can stay informed.